Hey guys, welcome to the Blue Collar Business Podcast, where we discuss the realest, rawest, most relevant stories and strategies behind building every corner of a blue collar business. I'm your host, Cy Kirby, and I want to help you what it took me, trial and error, and a whole lot of money to learn. The information that no one in this industry is willing to share. Whether you're under that shade tree or have your hard hat on, let's expand your toolbox. Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the Blue Collar Business Podcast, brought to you and sponsored by our lovely folks over at Thumbtack. When you're ready to grow, but your systems can't keep up, you need a partner who gets how you work. Thumbtack delivers leads that match your strengths, plus data, tools, and real-time insights to help you make smarter moves. Automation keeps you running smoothly, and centralized systems make scaling super simple. Every day, pros use Thumbtack to hit their goals. Ready to grow? Visit thumbtack.com/pro to book your personalized strategy session today. Guys, I am super excited for today's episode. It's one that's been on the backlog behind the scenes. This gentleman took the time to fly in here, and this is a topic that's worth, we probably don't have enough time today to talk about all the things we could, but the service industry, if you own these machines, guys, and I know a lot of you guys are excavation outfits and utility outfits, and you came from the YouTube side of the world over here to the podcast, but when you go buy that first machine, it's all about sales. Yeah, they're all over you, but really what you need to be worried about is that service shop attached to the dealer as well, guys. And this gentleman knows all about ins and outs of every dealer across the country as he's pushing forward with a platform that everybody on this show needs to know about. It is so cool from a software perspective, but literally tying new age tech with old school blue collar mechanics mainly, and you guys out there that are owning those machines and you can't get the dealer support that you need. This gentleman has founded a wonderful product that is going to help you get there. Former COO of Flagger Construction Equipment, 16 plus years in the dealer world. Man, that would probably take a toll on anybody, but helped several different struggling dealerships, put them back on track, put them in top performing within 2 years time frame. I am really excited to sit down with my good friend already now, Mr. Alex Kraft, founder of Heave, on-demand heavy equipment service. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Then that was quite an intro.
Was it? Did I nail it?
I want to bring you around everywhere I go.
Well, man, you have literally pioneered. I'm always wanting to spotlight and shed light on anybody that's willing to fix a problem that is a major problem, but nobody wants to bring it up. And man, give us a little industry background on yourself and where you come from, where you've been, and
sure,
all over the country.
Yeah. So I started like my first real job out of college back in 2004. Landed with a Volvo heavy construction dealer called Flagler. We were in Florida. At one point, we also owned the dealership in Eastern Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York City. It's called Penn Jersey Machinery. So I worked for a dealer with really good size, and Volvo at that time had 38-ish dealers across the country. And I think, we were historically like third or fourth largest, maybe fifth at the most. But that's how I learned the construction industry. I didn't really have any experience in it before. I took a job selling. I started selling and renting equipment. So I was out in the field in front of customers like yourself. And then, worked my way through the dealership over 16, 17 years, ended up, working in every department. And, my last 4 years, I became the COO. And that's when I really became involved in service. I always knew it from afar, knew it from the P&L, or as every sales rep knows, you know service when it's not going well because the customer calls you, after they call the service department, and then when they don't get the answer they want, they call the person they have the relationship with, who's the salesperson. And so I'm well versed in everything dealership,
Man,
from my experience.
directly tied to equipment though, dealership world.
Yeah.
And so Volvo is kind of I like a good old Volvo machine, but
It's a good machine.
it is. I've rented a couple, but so Florida, let's fast forward through that. You get to that COO role of this dealership, and now we can start asking the question of why? Why are we doing the things that we're doing? Frustrated customers, serviceability.
Yeah.
Maybe tell us a little bit through, the sales or the service, a couple generalistic things about a dealership that most folks wouldn't know.
Okay. So like one of the things as to the why I started Heave was
It's perfect.
nothing changed, and it's really frustrating. Like I said, I started in 2004, our dealership got sold in 2020. Nothing had changed in terms of like the overall operation. All the problems were the same. You have different people who come in and leave and new people come in, and it's like, but the problems remain the same. No one really wants to do anything. And like, I'm just the type of person that like, I wasn't like a destined entrepreneur. Like I didn't have like these dreams from a young age of like starting a business.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So I was different. Like I was at a stable company. And then I was just became so frustrated with the state of affairs and people just acting like they were helpless. Like, we can't solve it. Like, I don't understand, because we devote so much of our time to work, right? It's where we spend most of our time, unfortunately. And I just can't get with, if I'm going to put this much time into it, to not like want to improve at something or be the best, or like I can't show up to work every day just knowing that like, hey, these 5 problems that are just going to always be there. Like we're going to let customers down. We're going to invoice customers wrong. It's going to take 3 weeks to get a tech to them. I can't live that way. And I had built enough experience to have the confidence towards the end in like 2020 to like, what if we started a business that focused more on the customer and the customer experience? And that's kind of my mindset leading into it.
No, 100%. And that's exactly where I was going with that, is you saw all the problems, not just heard about them, but you felt them, you lived them, you know what these guys are going through at the dealership level in-house, but you're also knowing what this customer is having to deal with, and lack of transparency and invoicing wrong is, I can just go off on that one by itself. But like when you go to pick up the phone, nobody really wants to talk about it. There's lack of systems. I'm literally dealing
Pick up the phone, call in. Like I used to do this sometimes. Like I would call my own dealership and then I would never get to anybody. Or it would take like forever. You get passed around these phone trees, and then I would like walk through the hallway and I would hear the phones ring and then no one's picking them up. There's a lot.
Breeding ground for pissed off customers.
Yeah, exactly. And I was always amazed at how much money customers spend for the experience that they get, and it doesn't matter. Like, you have like monster customers like Archer Western Walsh Group, billions of dollars. And then you have smaller customers, but even the smaller customers are spending like millions of dollars on rentals a year, millions of dollars on, buying, 5 machines, 10 machines, whatever. And then what you spend on parts and service too. So you're spending that amount of money. There should be a bar, of a standard that you should receive as a customer.
Customer service 101, sales, as you've heard this thousands of times in your world, but sales sells that first machine, but service sells the rest. And I talk about on this show and on the YouTube all the time about, hey guys, payments and repairs, you just don't want them both at the same time. You've got to set yourself up for that. But with seeing all these generalistic problems in a state of mediocrity that nobody is willing to pick up the torch, you go, you know what? Let's step off and let's fix some of these problems, because they're not going away. And you, of course, built a portfolio of customers over the years and probably reached out to them and said, hey, is this a problem?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I did. So ironically, when we first started, we didn't have the service. We weren't doing service. When we first started the company, it was like July 2020. It was a technology company that was aimed at making buying and renting equipment more accessible. So like the easiest way to compare would be like an Expedia type experience. And we pursued that for 2 years, and it was really, really difficult because we didn't own the inventory. Like we just wanted to be the software layer to make it, if you think about it, like if I go to a website to order food from a restaurant, it's not the restaurant's like online experience. That's a third party that they're using. So like thinking of like that kind of a model. So we didn't own the inventory. We just wanted to make it easier for customers to transact. And, I'd meet with customers and they liked it, but inevitably it would get to the point of like, oh, okay, well, what dealers are using this? And that was the breaking point. We couldn't get dealers to use it. And so therefore it had no value to the customer. But almost every one of those conversations with a customer where they were like, yeah, so it doesn't have any value to me. But if you could find a way to help me on the service side, I would be a customer tomorrow. That's my major pain. So in retrospect, I tell people our first product that we had for like 2 years, we were solving an inconvenience. We weren't solving a true problem. And then when we pivoted to service, we were solving an immediate problem. And that's when, like I mentioned, like 2 years of just like suck to like not really get anything going. Like literally we switched to service, and within our first month, it was like immediate, like customers, oh my God, this exists. How do I do this? Oh, this is fantastic. And so then it was just full speed ahead after that.
Well, good on you for pushing. And you did what a lot of entrepreneurs fail to do, and that's listen. And you listen to your customer. Like I was definitely hard-headed at one point in cycle.
Let's see, here's where this is really hard. Because you need to be hard-headed. You need to be stubborn. Like everything that you read is true. Like you need to be able to push through tough times. The really, really difficult thing when I look back is having like this instinct of, well, what's wasted effort, because you got to keep pushing through. And I just realized, so ironically, I decided to kill our first product after we started having success with it. So that
is ironic.
So we were helping a few like sales reps sell machines, and they would sell a machine for like $250,000, and we would use that as our wedge. Like we would call into that sales rep and be like, man, this is great. You sold this to a new customer, $250,000. So the dealership makes, let's call it $25,000 in profit. Let's call it. You make a commission probably like $4,000 or $5,000. And we were charging a subscription at that time. They were like, hey, how many sales reps work for your dealership? 50. Great. Hey, can you get us a meeting with your VP? Let's see how many more reps we can get on here. Every time we'd have that conversation, the sales rep would say, if I don't sell something next month, I'm going to cancel. And then you're sitting there and you're like, the math doesn't work. Like you could afford, based on what you just paid us, you could afford to not sell anything for the next year and you still come out ahead. But it was the sign to me that they didn't see the value in it. And so that's when I was like, we have to kill this. We have to go after service. But yeah, you need stubbornness. You need to be hard-headed. But it's just like, you got to kind of game it out and understand like the big picture thing. Like, even though the math works and even though the value was more on the dealer side for what we were providing, we couldn't extract enough value. And when people, and like you read about like this stuff about entrepreneurship and starting companies, And people will say, build something that people want, build something that people will pay for. So it sounds very simplistic, but that was a good example of it works, but they weren't willing to pay for it. And that was like very eye-opening to me, but it helped me make the decision.
It's got to be a two-way street, right? And yeah, the customer, if they don't see immense value in it, it's going to be hard to get behind for them. But it also, entrepreneurs, we already feel undervalued. We don't need our whole...
And it's tempting, right? It's tempting to like go on a whiteboard and be like, here, let's draw it out. You made $25,000. You paid us $99 for the month. But if they don't recognize it, you're not going to convince them. And so that helped me make the decision. And then like I said, once we went to service, there was no selling.
Literally. You found the problem, heard the problem, and dove head first. Walk us a little bit through how Heave works, like
Sure.
if I was just first time hearing about it.
Okay. So what I like to do is, you own equipment. Like like in a perfect world, how should service exist?
Man, machine's down, make a phone call. Hey, come fix my machine. I need it up by, 2 hours, please. That's how it should work.
That's how it should work. So so we built an app, and we call it on-demand service because it is on demand. It's when a customer needs a tech. And so a typical experience, like when I was driving over here this morning, I'm getting blown up on the app. Customers got fill in the blank. I got a PC 138. I got a CAT 950. It's got a def issue. Every machine has a def issue. I'm at this job site in Northwest Arkansas. Customer can like take a picture of error codes, take a picture of a machine or whatever the issue, submit request. An alert goes out to all of the technicians in that area. The technicians set the service area, and then they can see customer, what the issue is, and then the technician can respond if they have availability. And then the customer just gets pinged every time a technician responds. You can see, okay, John Smith can be here this afternoon. He's $145 an hour. I can click on John and I can read a profile on him. I can see like, okay, John spent 8 years prior to owning his own business, spent 8 years at the local cat dealer. Before that, he was at the John Deere dealer. All right. Next, Frank Thompson can be here tomorrow morning. He's $175 an hour. He's got these reviews on the Heave app. I can see that. I can also click on his profile. And then as a customer, you get to pick who you want. And it's that simple. It's a very simple concept. But it's up to the customer. Like the way we set it up is we wanted it to operate as many ways as possible, the opposite of how the traditional experience operates. So there is no like phone call. It's going through an app. Customer always gets to pick which technician they want. You get different price points too, right? We calculate like distance and mileage too. So like you can see in my example, the first tech 8.7 miles from your job site, and they charge $250 a mile or whatever. So we show you the round trip travel. So like, hey, just so you know, it's going to be $250 round trip just in travel before they get to you, and we do that for everybody.
That also secures your guy that's driving out there. It's, there may be a guy that just left one of the rental houses, that's been doing this 5 or, 15 years and wants to start his own, got his own truck, but he doesn't even know how to price himself. And it sounds like you can also, hey, look, this is how this market should go. You're going to get paid this to go do your work.
Yeah.
Just put your...
We can help people with that, based on what we know about the markets. But there's so many crazy things like in the traditional experience. When one of which that stands out to me is the customer has no say over who they get, and also they have no say over the distance, right? Like you just know from dealing with angry customers over time, you're like, oh wait, we sent somebody from 2 hours away and we're billing the customer for that travel time and mileage. Like, but they had no say in it.
And then they didn't have no parts.
Right. And they had to go back. And so, yeah, that's one of the reasons why we show the customer, like, hey, so-and-so is 50 miles away from you.
That's huge, man.
Yeah.
And then not only that, it goes to availability, which is cool.
Sure.
But I'd also maybe throw this in there. Yeah, John Smith may be a Cat and John Deere guy, but I may have a Komatsu out there. And Frank over here, he came from the Komatsu dealership.
Yep.
And, you know, it's going to be 12 hours down. I may can get a rental out there or whatever. But I've got, you know, Frank the Tank coming out, who's the man on the Komatsu stuff, and he'll have it done in 6 hours. So
totally,
to be able to see the back end of these guys, price point, availability, location, like, come on, that is amazing.
Yes. And that's where I think, and our company thinks that service should go, is and service in the future, which is today through us, is all of these factors, right? Like, something that I didn't realize the power of until we started. Like, I'd love to tell you I was really so smart that I thought about this, but I came from a dealer, so I was just used to like how it operated. What started happening early was, like I mentioned, a customer would have a CAT excavator go down, they'd book a tech would go out there, and then while the tech was on the job site, the customer would be like, hey, when you're done with that, this Deere dozer is giving us an issue. Can you look at it? And then tech's like, sure. Said the Deere dozer. And then all of a sudden, like, hey, this Komatsu excavator. So we were knocking out like 3 different brands on the same service call. Wow. And customers were like, are you kidding me? I would have had to call 3 different parties. Who knows when each of them could have gotten here. One travel charge, and this guy fixed all 3.
And I love how it's becoming an app interface. As you guys know on this show all the time, I talk about, you know, younger guys embrace the technology as much as you can because it's outrunning the industry as fast as it's moving. But we're all used to apps. Mm-hmm. We're all used to a phone. I mean, they spend more time, we all do, on social media than anything. I mean, we know how to operate an app. To be able to, hey, got a machine here. This is what's wrong with it. I think it's a fuel issue. I'm not a mechanic. And then get 4 or 5 responses to a working area. That's unbelievable, man. Congrats.
Thanks.
First of all.
I appreciate that. It's been very difficult, but yeah, it's been very rewarding.
It's always difficult doing what no one else will do. Doing this podcast as a dirt guy.
Yeah,
you know,
totally. And people tell you, like, whenever you try to do something different, you know, people love to tell you about how it'll never work and you don't know what you're doing. And I get it, but I've always kind of been comfortable on being on the the other side of that.
Being different.
Yeah, being different. I've always had kind of a little chip on the shoulder too, like to prove certain things. But yeah, it's just, wow, what a crazy idea if you build something that, you know, is more responsive to customers, that'll save them money. Like, ooh, what an idea that you can build a big business out of that.
It's insane, dude. It literally is. But no, I'm always the pioneers. We need more of it. People just like yourself willing to find the problem, not just go, somebody will come along and fix it. No, go, hey, look, these customers, I'm tired. I've got really, really good people that I like taking care of, and I'm tired of doing this dealership model. And it is, you're right, the trad or traditional way of calling the dealer. We talked about it earlier. You can't get nobody on the phone. So if you don't have a guy on the inside, you're not even getting your phone call or even getting on the list that day.
No.
And so you're not having to worry about a phone call. You're not having to worry about any of that. My machine, boom, take a picture. It's a lot like Thumbtack, and for the homeowner. I mean, honestly, take a picture.
We get compared to Thumbtack.
So for today's episode, right? I apologize if...
No, hey, look, this is the first podcast I've been on with an ad read, so I feel very official.
Okay, well, I really appreciate Thumbtack being our presenting sponsor, but it's a model that works to that point. You know what I mean? Yes. And the customer spending, to your point, millions of dollars every single freaking month. We make our payments, but when it goes down, the number one thing in our world is downtime for a guy like myself. And to have that right in the palm pocket, not just me, but the guy out there, say he's working right away.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He can get access, I'm assuming, employees and set them up in a profile. Your foreman's worried about these 12 machines on this right away project, and it is out in the middle of wherever, Oklahoma. Well, it may be 3 hours from a dealer, but there is a local guy somewhere, and hopefully he's on the Heave app and can come right around the corner.
That's right. Yeah, it's there's so much to talk about. Like some things I don't want to gloss over, but one of the things that's kind of magical about what we built is the communication aspect. And so the customer is communicating directly with the technician who can fix the machine, and so like that's another thing that when you are raised in the dealership world becomes unbelievably frustrating, is that, and I empathize with customers, is that customers are always chasing information. You're
always
like, you don't hear anything. And so naturally you assume the worst. No one's working on it. They don't know when they can get someone to me. All of it's probably true. But the only way to know is you got to call again. You got to call again. You got to call again. And it's just not, it's not a good model.
It's got time for that.
No. And so that's why, one of the things that works so well with the app is that it's all messaging, and it's directly with there's no middle people. You're not dealing with a dispatcher or a manager who then has to check with someone, who has to check with someone else, who then has to call with the technician. It's like, no, you're dealing with the person who's coming out. And there's a lot of advantages to that.
Yeah, you're not dealing with a service writer that's been there 2 weeks that really doesn't have a clue about the machine itself. He's just typing stuff in a computer. I mean, you can go to any parts store in America and get that experience nowadays. I need wipers. Is that 4-wheel drive? It's like the service.
We dealt with this. It's like we did a centralized service experiment at the dealership I was at, which was a massive failure. And the one story that was like burned in my memory is we had a customer, our largest customer at the time, 4-letter name, really easy name. And they call in, and the guy answering the phone asks them how to spell it. And you're just like, oh my God.
What are we coming to as a race?
How do you spell that? And it's like, the customer that owns 200 machines from us, and is our number one sales customer, rental customer, service customer.
And of course, he ends up on the phone with that service writer that's been there for a week, and he's just trying to do his job. But being able to talk to the guy that's actually going to put his hands on whatever issue that's in your machine, you cut out a lot of lag time and crappy communication that is totally time wasting. But I'm assuming they can go back and forth within the Heave app itself.
It's all within the app.
That's really good, man.
Which is also, I think, important too, because there's context. Like, people like texting, but if you think about it, like texting just to text, a lot of stuff can get missed. Like you will have customers where we're doing like 15 jobs at one time for, right? And so if a technician is texting the customer, like, wait, which machine is this for? It's like, so if it's in the app, it's all tied to a job. Mm-hmm. And so there's context to it, right? There's a message on this job. There's a message on this job. And that's all, we've built out a bunch of new features too, where it's all kind of shared within, like you mentioned, like a foreman and someone else on the site. Like you can pull different people within your operation in on one job, and now they're all communicating with the technician. So it's not even like, hey, you talk to the technician, now you have to pick up the phone and call your people. You're all in on the same messages.
Not only that, for you customers and you owners of those machines, as daily inspection reports, if there is something that transpired on that machine, you want the documentation for the next guy that comes out. So being able to pull that entire communication, putting it in that equipment piece of file for that next tech that works on it, whether it's through Heave or not, whether it's a dealer warrantied item, you can at least, you need that documentation. So having that all within one centralized location, man, you're freaking doing this thing, dude.
Yeah, it's fun.
That's awesome. So service area right now, I know you guys are pushing hard, but you guys are in like How many states currently?
So our core market, this is the way I describe it.
Okay.
We have core markets, and then we have other states where we work. So core markets are Florida, Texas, Georgia, North Carolina, Tennessee. We just started in Ohio.
Coming to Arkansas.
We've done jobs in Arkansas.
That's right.
So this year, I think we've done jobs in 30, 32 states. And what happens all the time is, a large customer will use us in Texas or Florida or Atlanta, and, they'll call us up and they'll be like, hey, I'm working in this mine outside of Indianapolis. Can you help me? And we go, yeah. Well, no, we never say absolutely if we can't. Like, we'll say, hey, give us 30 days. We'll build out a technician network. And so, like, we do work every week in Indiana today. We do work in Colorado. And then we get customers who will download the app without ever talking to us in California. Like, we've done probably 10 jobs in California this year because we have technicians who have downloaded the app all over the country. And so it does surprise me when you just see a customer we've never heard of. We've done jobs in Delaware. Like, it's wild, and we have technicians, and so it's
growing by the day.
Pretty special, yeah.
Especially when you're also taking care of them. I mean, it's a literal two-way street that's paved really well for the customer and, your network of
techs, yeah.
Man, that's so awesome, seriously. So take us where it's going. Let's talk a little bit. Some news popped out this week. I read on LinkedIn. Some major news. I'll let you kind of share numbers.
So we closed a Series A capital raise of $7 million, which is a big deal for us. So we've raised 13 in our history through venture capital firms, which is an interesting experience on its own.
Yeah, sure.
Where we're going is we want to be the only nationwide field service provider for all brands of equipment. So one of the things that's pretty cool is we've fixed over 100 different brands of equipment in our lifetime. And that has come from customers, like service call on a cat, and then a customer like, hey, do you guys work on highway trucks? Yes. We fix Max, Peterbilts, Kenworths. Hey, can you guys work on cranes? Yes. Generators? Yes. And so the alignment with customers is awesome. And then, the downside for dealers is that they have a territory that they cannot go outside of. There's 2 cat dealers in Florida. There's 3 cat dealers in Texas. They can't go outside of their footprint. We can fix equipment everywhere, by being, brand agnostic and a technology company.
That's insane. I know the big hot topic in our world is, well, before I go there, let's stay on this. You mentioned venture capitalist and all of these terms. A lot of these guys are blue collar guys just starting, could be electrician or plumber. Talk a little bit about that. And, you've done all of this since July 2020. Yeah. It's not like we're talking a huge time period here, guys. So if there's, give us a little.
So venture capital, I didn't really know anything about that.
I don't either.
I started the business. So most people know like venture capital, private equity, like 2 paths to raise money, right? Venture capital is a fascinating world to me. So you have firms that, look to invest money in emerging companies, that, everybody has like their own checklist of what they look for. But what it was fascinating for me was, a venture capital firm, like their job is to research industries. A lot of venture capital firms can be organized into a couple different ways. Like they're like industry focused or what could be called stage focused. So stage is like the age of a company when they invest. So naturally, if you invest in a seed is like a term for like a very young, small company. If you invest like at that stage, it's not as much money that you're investing, but the potential to pay out is that much larger because the young company could grow and become a massive company, right? And then you have other venture capital firms that look to invest at later stages because they don't want as much risk, right? And so if you like invest like Series B, Series C, Series D, you're typically having to write larger checks, and the payout is not as big because these are well-established companies. And so it's just like what the risk profile is. What was really interesting to me is like these are people and venture capital companies that, like I mentioned, they look at companies every day. So they're getting pitched companies, I don't know, 8 to 10 a day or whatever. And and then they've made investments of many companies that become really successful. So like they look for certain characteristics of, DNA of what makes companies successful. It could be market opportunity is definitely a big part of that. It can be characteristics of a leadership team. It can be the product itself that they're selling. And so it was an unbelievable experience for me to speak to a lot of these firms and get their feedback on our company, right? Like, and then you look at their portfolio and the companies that they've invested in. And so to look at, we're now in the portfolio of a couple of these venture firms alongside of Uber, alongside SpaceX, alongside of, like really, really big successful companies. So it gives you a tremendous amount of confidence. And I got plenty of no's,
That's the entrepreneur favorite word.
Yeah. But what was really helpful is that like the questions that they ask about your business, it helps you like, oh, that is a vulnerability for our business. So I got to shore that up. Because these people are professionals at assessing businesses. And so it was a really interesting experience. Raising money is never fun. But fascinating.
But what about the validation for yourself after the grind, making a huge pivot? Let's try this thing. And then all of a sudden, these companies are like, yes, yes, yes. And you're like, whoa, it's
totally surreal. And yeah, it gives you a tremendous amount of confidence because they're not investing money in you because they like you. They're investing money in you because they think that you're going to be successful and they're going to make money.
Value.
And so, yeah, it gives myself, it gives our team a tremendous amount of confidence going forward that we're on to something really big.
Well, everybody, I've talking to a few folks about Heave, just trying to find our little area local. Do you know about this? And I was just talking to you at dinner last night about our local yokel shop that we take a Traco to, or if we needed something to go down, or you needed it, whatever, welded, or an actual shop, they're gone as of August 25th. And so now we're sitting here going, well, I mean, we have the dealers. Those guys, where I'm going with this, and I'd like for you to talk on, before I get there, I apologize again. This venture capitalism, I'm sorry, I can't get off of it. I just wanted to show and make a point to, if you have an idea, you put grind, perseverance behind it, make a pivot when it's maybe the best, not the best opportunity, or the best opportunity, but strike on that opportunity, pivot, and people want to work with you. It's the point I was getting there. These blue collar guys with an idea.
Yeah, totally.
There is the white collar world. They want to work with us.
Yeah, I completely agree. It was something that stood out to me actually, is that I was kind of amazed at how like VCs will talk to anybody. Like you think, like you look at a VC firm, and you can see, like, you can read about all their successful investments, and maybe you have, or maybe at least I did. I had this preconceived notion of like, they're not going to want to talk to me, with my dumb company, because this is who they've dealt with in the past. But no, like, because they understand the game. They understand that everything starts small. Every company has their first customer. Everyone starts from the same place. Airbnb, they're selling air mattresses on the floor, Now they're worth more than all the hotels combined. But venture capitalists understand that. So you are right in terms of like, they'll talk to you. And they'll give you time. It is, some of it's like Shark Tank too, right? You get a certain amount of time. You got to get their attention. It's got to be a big idea. It's got to be flushed out. It's got to have a plan. You can't be winging it. But yeah, I was amazed at like, oh wow, like these people are hearing me out. This is pretty cool.
Man, that's unbelievable. Just to have, you're right, but the plan and the strategy I talk about, there's so many years within my own business that, dude, slap me upside the head 80% of the time. I'm just flying by the seat of my pants, trying.
That's how we all figure it out, though.
Exactly, literally. And through these experiences, education's expensive, but experience is priceless. And just going through it, just like you did in the dealer world, and dealing with the problems from your mechanic side or your sales team or your customers in general, fixing the problem. Then not only going, hey, this is a problem, here's the fix, I believe it is, here's the plan and strategy, hey, what do you guys think about it? Then taking their feedback, molding, and look at you now, dude. Seriously, kudos.
Yeah.
I'm very, very glad to shine some light on what you're doing this early on. It's everything when you've already done it and you've already got there.
Yeah.
You are on your way.
We have a lot to do.
Don't we all know? But the other thing, major question that I know a lot of these guys are going to want to ask you, and they're going to be like, hey, Si, why didn't you ask about software? Now, I think I already know your response, but as these next gen, all these new machines are coming out, it literally change a hose. You got to have the computer to reset the sealed system. Like, it's a ridiculous joke, but I'm assuming a lot of these guys already have the software.
They do.
Okay.
They do. So that was the one question that I had before I committed everything to starting the service business, was I didn't know how many guys had software. And when I started talking to technicians to like build our initial network, everyone did. And so most all of these guys are former dealership mechanics.
So, and when you said that with the guys that did have the software, what size fleet did they have? I'm saying you're from the customer side, or you're saying from the mechanic side?
From the mechanics.
Understood. So they're already leaving. They've been building their repertoire of software.
They were a former CAT dealer tech. They have is it CIS, I think, is the CAT program? Yeah. They were at Deere. They have the Deere. And then when I started asking techs, like, hey, what software do you have? Oh, I have a diesel laptop. I have JAL test. There's another third one. And I'm like, oh, everybody's got software. This is really interesting.
I think we've got a scanner, but I think a lot of the folks that you're probably speaking to here today on the show, yes, I know there's some guys that have huge fleets that listen to the show, but a lot of them are that 1 to 3 to that 5 to 7 year mark that we may have 10, 15, maybe 20 machines, but I know some of these guys that still don't own software. I don't.
Yeah, most customers don't. Even large customers don't software. But the techs, the mechanics on our platform do.
Because I don't really want to necessarily deal with the dealer past the sale, to be honest with you, because of all the things we've sat here and talked about today. It's an absolute struggle, and I'm sitting here paying for rental and paying, or the rental machine ain't made it there, so I got a crew standing around trying to fix. Like, guys, do yourself a favor and jump on the Heave app. This is obviously very new in our neck of the woods, but I hope to hear from some of you guys that are already on Heave and hear your experiences, and I will get them shared with Alex.
So I'd like to talk a little bit about why. So I'm going to defend dealers a little bit.
Okay.
I would say, so, why, so common question, why hasn't this been done before? Because it is a simple idea, right? Is that, number one, dealers have no incentive to improve. Okay. And that's the one thing that, when you work there for a long time, why things don't change is that there's no incentive. You have a very large footprint. that the OEM is protective of. Like I mentioned, there's two cat dealers in Florida. No one else can sell cat into Florida. You know, you don't have to really get better because there's no real threat. Like in the auto business, I guarantee you here in Northwest Arkansas, if there were 3 cat dealers in Northwest Arkansas, I bet you there'd be a different experience. Yeah. But there's not. There's one. And so there's no incentive. And then the other thing too is that it's really hard to be a dissenting voice within those walls, right? You have a lot of people who make a lot of money. And do you want to be the one person who's speaking up like, hey, no, we should change X, Y, and Z? You know, you got a lot of people making a lot of money. Like, no, let's keep everything the same. So now the part that's not really their fault is that service in many ways is a numbers game. And they just don't have enough bodies. So, you know, we had 100 field techs in Florida, the dealership I worked at. And we probably had to maintain, I don't know, 10,000 machines. So that's a math problem, right? Now, CAT might have 400 or 500 field technicians, but they got to maintain 50,000 machines.
Yes.
So you're back to the same thing. Now,
same percentage.
Right. And that's what creates this tremendous backlog and, you know, time to get a technician. Now, I heard, you know, I started in 2004. I'm sure there's people listening to this who'd be like, well, I started hearing that 1990. No one wants to be a tech. Yeah. I would say here, we got to finish the sentence. No one wants to be a tech and make $25 an hour, $28 an hour. That's the problem. And that's what I started seeing as to why really talented technicians left to go independent, because they're not making any money for the value of their skills. And there's a disconnect. Like, you can't, as a company, you can't say sales sells the first, service sells the second, and then pay the skilled labor nothing. And that's where I think the future is, because dealers are paying techs $27 an hour, billing them at $200.
Oh yeah, $250.
So that creates, like, no, I go, like, if you look at the independents on our platform, they make, you know, $150 an hour or $170 an hour. Some make $130 an hour. They set their wage, and then we just add a little markup on top, and so they're getting almost all the money.
Yeah,
but they should, you know, they're talented, skilled technicians. So that's one of the things that fuels us, and one of the reasons why, you know, I love our position is that, you know, the economic structure of a dealership will not change. They are not going to blow it up. They can't. And, you know, I'm sure I've talked to dealers. Some dealers are our customers too, which is pretty wild.
Yeah.
Because they just need the help. So they'll book guys through us, which is cool. But
that's an interesting point of view there, through the dealers.
Rental companies and dealers use us, which is awesome. But yeah, I heard some brag, oh, we just brought on techs at $50 an hour. Great. How do you look the other guys in the eye?
Yeah.
Like in 28. But yeah, 50 is not what they should be paid. When you're fixing a $400,000 excavator that needs to be up right now, you know, like, that's why we think this is the future, is that you get all the leverage is on the labor side. And so that's why the technicians are basically our customers too, you know, give them the ability to make money.
That's such a good why, dude. That's literally such a good why. And the way you look out for those guys, that it's not just, you know, from the mechanic standpoint, we as skilled trades in general, especially through the cost inflation, going a little off in the weeds here, we all feel a little undervalued when we are all having to race to the bottom to get on a job site. You know what I mean? And you're like, you're sitting here, how much cost are you carrying? And but those mechanic guys, when that $500,000 Traco that is running that entire job site goes down, he's the most important man, and his mindset and his knowledge is the most important man on the entire job site.
So blue collar podcast, right? A major talking point is how do we get people more interested in the trades, right?
Yes, sir.
This, to me, this is one of the main reasons how you can do it. No college education, no college debt, but showing people a real path that they can make. So one of the things that we're most proud of is, like, this year we'll have, I don't know, it depends on our growth. We could have 20 techs make over 200 grand this year.
Wow.
Like, think about that. So, but that's
life-changing.
Yeah, that's the thing you can't say, like, hey, be a such and such brand tech and make 70, make 80, right? That's not going to pull more people into the trades. But hey, here's a legitimate path to own your own business, not have college debt. You go to trade school, but then you could legitimately earn 300 grand a year.
Very easily.
Right. And be your own boss.
Yeah.
That, I think, carries a lot of weight and can get more people interested in pursuing that. You know, I've read plenty of articles about, like, you know, people becoming HVAC technicians, and, you know, because those, you know, trades are, you know, there's not a lot of supply. So that people see the opportunity to go into those fields because there's no shortage of work, and, you know, with a lack of supply, the rates can rise. You never hear it in our space because if you go the traditional route, you can't earn. That's one of the ways. Like, and as we become more popular and people know about us more, I think you're gonna see some dominoes fall, which is really good because
it's needed, man. Yeah, it's needed. And it's literally, you know, this show is about industry change in retrospect of whatever angle that is, but the industry is willing to change. Folks have got to start game changing.
Competition drives change. And that's what I was saying before. When you have a structure set up, it's no, look, the construction, people like to say, oh, this is so different. Industries have a lot of similarities. It's like the cable business to me. You know, like, if I moved to Northwest Arkansas, I'm sure there's only 3 cable companies.
Yes, one. Literally, one. They've monopolized everything.
Exactly. And everyone laughs about the experience that you get because they're, you know, everything is set up a certain way. I think, no, look, we're driving a great customer experience. We're growing because customers love the experience. But I bet you will force the existing players to kind of level up their game too.
I hope so. I truly do, man. You have to. Somebody does, and I'm glad it's you, my guy. Blue-collar performance marketing's passion is to bring attention to the honest work done in blue-collar industries through effective, results-driven marketing tactics. They specialize in comprehensive digital marketing services, from paid advertising on Google and Facebook to website development and content strategy. I started working with Ike and the team earlier this year, and they've had a huge impact on our specific marketing campaign and trajectory of our overall company. Their expertise in digital ad management, website development, social media, and overall marketing strategy has been an absolute game changer for our sales and marketing at Sycon. If you're looking to work with a marketing team who does what they say, does it well, and is always looking for ways to help your company grow, book a discovery call with Ike by going to bcperformancemarketing.com/BCB podcast or click the link in the show notes /description below. Thanks, guys. Last kind of question that I normally ask on the show, really, I ask every single person, what's a takeaway for, you know, that blue collar guy who is just sick and tired of being stuck in the mud, mentally, physically, emotionally? Maybe that dealer guy that's sitting there, been there 15 years, thinking about making a change mentally, or it could be that, you know, that HVAC guy, that either way.
So if you're thinking about it, you should do it. That would be my, it's, you know, I think it's normal and it's natural I was this way too. Like, you get comfortable And you just become so afraid of making a change or a move. And I've yet to talk to anybody who did make the change or move and regret it. It just, and it's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy. Some of us have life circumstances that help make us change circumstances. Like, look, the dealership that I was working at was sold. That kind of forced my hand. If there wasn't a sale, do I do what I do now? Maybe not. So, everyone has different circumstances, but it was like, looking back, I'm like, oh my God, that was the best thing for me, because it kind of forced my hand. It gave me an excuse to try something different. And, you got to be super passionate about it. You can't do it like half-ass, and you can't,
gotta be obsessed with it, man.
Yeah, you do. You have, cause otherwise it's super easy to just quit, and go back. Like, you have to be really, really committed. Like, I think one of the reasons why the companies that invested in us is because the first 2 years of Heave, we didn't have any revenue. We didn't have any success. So that gave them the confidence that if they invest in us and me, that I would push through difficult times because I had already done it. But if I didn't love what I was doing, and if I wasn't passionate about it, it would have been really easy to fold and then just go work somewhere else. So, like, you can't just make a change just for the sake of making a change. You have to really believe in what you're doing and what you want to get done. But I would say, go for it.
100%, dude. We need more concrete guys. We need more HVAC, but just don't do it half-ass. That's such a good way of saying it.
And you also
go all the way.
And like, going a couple of steps deeper to that, okay. like understand like the lay of the land. Like, you say, hey, we need more concrete guys. Okay. Like, be thoughtful around, like, well, who are the existing concrete guys? What would make me different than those concrete guys? Don't just try to be the same. And that can be a hard thing too, because it's easier to just want to copy people, but the big wins come from being different.
Being a pioneer, man, and doing what everybody's not willing to do, and endure the suck when it actually
will suck. And I'm sure you dealt with this too. Like, when you start a company in the early days, no one cares.
Nope.
Nobody wants to hear from you. Nobody, look, your family and everybody, like, they want you to succeed or whatever.
Kind of.
But it's weird. It's really weird. Like, no one pays any attention to you. And then all of a sudden, like, one day, I don't know what that one day is, then it's like, oh, okay, now everybody wants to talk to you. And it's funny. And you just got to keep your head down and just push.
Every day, get up, push. Where can we find Heave? Are you guys on Facebook, anything, social?
Yes, we are all over the socials.
Good.
So our website is heaveapp.com. We don't just have an app. We have a desktop version. So, a lot of fleet managers are in an office, so you can just go to our website, heaveapp.com, and you can order service, communicate with technicians that way. I'm on LinkedIn all the time, probably too much, but it's just kind of necessary.
It is.
You want to recruit and find people, but yeah, we're trying to build a brand that stands out. And so we're pretty active on all the socials, promoting our content and all that stuff. Man,
I'm glad you've chose to share it here on the show today, man. I'm super passionate about the product because it's fixing such a major industry problem for not just the top guys and the same guy that's, got the one machine and software, man, digital space. It's changing the world, man. Literally.
Yeah, software gives convenience, right? It's connectivity. So it does help in all of the traditional areas where like contractors like yourself have struggled with the legacy companies, right? Mm-hmm. Poor communication, can't get a hold of it. Software fixes that. And so that's why, you know, at our core, we're a technology company. And I'm excited to like keep like pushing from the forefront of like what we can do. Like we launched something earlier this year where we take a machine error code and just create the service request and send it to all the technicians. Wow. So you don't, as a customer, you don't even have to like go in and say, hey, this is what's wrong with my machine. If you have an error code that pops up, it immediately pings all the technicians.
Dang, dude. That's legit.
Yeah.
It's
so
the little things.
All like that kind of stuff is really exciting. Like we're going to keep like being able to do like new, cool stuff.
Automation.
Yeah.
And man, it's coming faster. I'm telling you guys all the time, embrace it, embrace it, embrace it. Mr. Alex, I can't thank you enough.
Thank you, Si.
Seriously, learning about Heave. I've been really excited about this episode. What a iconic entry to the market and a push, man, and look to be an avid customer moving forward. But guys, go check them out. HeaveApp.com.
Yep.
Check them all out there and make sure to go follow them along on the socials. He brings out some good LinkedIn content every once in a while. I follow along, so go find them all there. If you guys haven't, jump over to www.bluecollarbusinesspodcast.com. You can watch and listen to all 50 plus episodes right from there, totally free, no subscription. Or if you're hopefully on a podcast streaming platform, don't forget to drop us a rating and a follow here at the end of this episode. Go find Alex and Heave. And guys, till next time, you guys be safe. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to give it a like, share it with the fellers, check out our website to send us any questions and comments about your experience in the blue collar business. Who do you want to hear from? Send them our way and we'll do our best to answer any questions you may have. Till next time, guys.